Monday morning. Christopher Luxon's with us. Very good morning to you.
With you.
The NCEA announcement is coming. When? Because the media seem to have been building up like the waters are going to part and something amazing is going to happen. So when is it being announced?
It's coming out in the next few hours. Eric and I are going to make an announcement here in Auckland. It'll be quite massive. But as you and I have talked before, it's just not working for parents, teachers and principals. We need to get back to teaching our kids some basics, and we also need to set up a qualification, frankly, that's globally competitive and actually, more importantly, educates our kids so we can access higher paying jobs. So, the next few hours.
Is it prescriptive, the announcement?
Well, we want to make sure that there's a focus on some core subjects, like as we've said, going into high school, we've got challenges with New Zealand students not being where they need to be at on reading, literacy and numeracy. We've put a big focus on that, as you've seen in the primary and intermediate school sector. As we go forward from here, we want to make sure that we can't have what we've had, which is sort of an assemblage of tasks to get credits for a degree and then still not a qualification and then not have our kids set up to do the basics really well. So.
Okay. When does it start?
Just wait the next few hours. Yep.
When does it start in the classroom?
We'll announce all of that in the next few hours.
Okay, so you're going to go out to a consultation. Are you open to consultation? Is it just like...
Well, we want to hear the views, but we're pretty clear about the direction of travel. In fairness, principals, teachers, parents have fed through a lot of, positions that have actually led us to this point anyway.
Okay, the here and now, 15%. You've said on the show a number of times, we don't want to be materially worse off than anyone else.
Yep.
You lose because you are.
Well, we are. We've got a new minimum standard for those countries that are selling more than buying from the US, than what they buy from the US. Yep, it's 15% as a minimum. There's about 40 countries in that group. There are some that actually have higher than 15%. And yes, if you run a deficit with the US, which means you're, like the UK, like Australia, frankly, you're at 10%. But I just say, Mike, our exporters in America have been pretty agile. Our exports to the US this year are up 6%. And when you're in a market, I lived there for 8 years, market of 350 million people, there are wealthy consumers, whether they want our wine, our red meat, that are prepared to pay a premium. And a lot of our exporters have been able to pass through the pricing to the American consumer. Now, it'll create some difficulties for some companies, no doubt about it, who may not be able to fully pass it through. But, again, our exporters are pretty agile and they're moving around the world, and it underscores yet again why from day one you've got to hustle, you've got to do trade with India, you've got to do trade with the UAE, you've got to do trade with the EU and UK and other places all around the world. So it's not what we wanted, but and it's pretty fixed. That's the standard now in terms of a minimum for 10%.
So two parts out of that. Tim Grosser said you stand zero chance of getting this adjusted in any way. Is he right?
Yeah, I think it's pretty unlikely. The President's pretty fixed in his firm views, but we still need to have dialogue and a relationship with the American administration. I'd just say Todd McClay has a very good relationship with his counterpart, and we've had ongoing dialogue since the announcement of tariffs in April. But yes, I want to set expectations right, that I think it's pretty obvious that actually whether you've been in a more deep negotiations like, say, the Swiss, you've ended up with 39%. We've got the minimum we've got for countries that are running a surplus.
So you are hand on heart telling us you could have done nothing more.
Oh, I think we handled it very well, and I think we had very good engagement at official and ministerial level, which was important. This was a decision that was a blunt decision made pretty last minute before the announcement, where the President decided actually all countries with a deficit get 10 minimum, all countries with a surplus get 15 minimum.
Okay. I read this weird article in a foreign media outlet last week. Do you realise that bringing a cruise ship to this country is the most expensive exercise in the world?
Yep.
Why?
Well, there's a whole bunch of, I think we've got to go back and look at it, something Louise Upson and I have been talking about. There's a whole bunch of palaver that we often make our cruise ships go through coming into New Zealand, anti-fouling, a whole bunch of things around biosecurity that adds a huge amount of cost to it. It's things, frankly, also like the ships have got bigger, and we haven't had infrastructure to support it. That's why the ports of Auckland, getting their fast track application through, where they're going to do those two, one big port extension, I think an extra 300 metres to enable larger ships to come in and out of the country is actually a good thing. So yeah, if we want cruise ships coming here, it's a key part of the tourism sector. we are looking at what are we making it.
But are you looking or doing?
No, we are actively looking at what are we doing. That we don't want to make it harder for cruise ships to choose not to come here.
But they are, because the numbers are plummeting. And what worried me about this is this was offshore reportage, so that's our reputation being printed out for the world to read about and go, well, why would I bother?
Yeah,
and that's why we're stuck at 86%.
There genuinely has been two bits, because the cruise ships around the world are just getting much, much larger. They're building brand new boats that are actually just
but that didn't happen last Tuesday. We all know that.
Sure,
and everyone else seems to be able to cope with it, but we can't.
Yeah, but under the RMA, we were going to take 5 years to extend a port. We're taking 6 months to do it from go to woe to get those consents in place. And then I think you're right. There's other pieces to it, particularly as I understand around our biosecurity asks, which are quite onerous. And Minister Hoggard and Upson are working that through as well.
Okay, homelessness, is it a choice or not? In some cases.
Oh, look, it's a pretty complex issue. Like, it really is. Like, people used to say, just get homeless folk a house and everything will be fine. Actually, you get into the issues, and each individual circumstance is pretty complex and you've got mental health issues, you've got addiction issues, you've got a whole range of things. There'll be some people who choose that, but actually, I don't think people really choose that. I think it's about how we. So
knowing that and knowing it's gone on for years, do you think now, with some level of regret, that you got a bit hard on it and you've got the homelessness situation that you've got?
No. I want to be really clear, because if you just take a step back, homelessness went up 37% under the last administration, and we were spending $1 billion on emergency housing.
Yeah, that's because they stuck them in motels. That's my point. You stick them in a motel and you think, that problem will be solved. If you're addicted to stuff and you're a whatever, it's never going to be solved. You need something bigger.
So I think there's a few things going on. One is, we actually took, just so people understand it, we actually identified everybody in a motel with kids that had been there longer than 12 weeks. We put them to the top of the State House wait list. The State House wait list has come down by 6,000, by the way, since we've come to power. We got those people into dry, good homes. Then there's a question. We've got the State House wait list down. We've got rent stable. That's been helpful. But now, actually, as you heard Chris Bishop say, we're spending $500 million with agencies and services around supporting people with complex needs and homeless situations. He's happy to look at it to make sure it's getting to the right places.
Okay, some accountants signed a letter. 3,000 of them said, we want a capital gains tax. Any chance next year as part of the election campaign?
I don't think taxing our way through this. We tried that before. Tax more, spend more, borrow more. Frankly, that's what caused the mess from Chris Hipkins and team.
Bit of reading over the weekend. Actually, I should ask you about the president. When the president of your party talks about your humanity and, people need to see your humanity, is having to explain that part of the problem?
My humanity's on display on your show every week.
I mean, I'm not arguing.
I appreciate your humanity.
When she turns up at your conference and goes, we need to see his humanity, is that part of the problem?
No, look, I mean, I don't think New Zealanders really want me talking about myself. They want me getting on and cracking on and sorting it out. It's pretty simple. They elected us to change. They'll make a decision in 2026 where they think we're on the right track, right direction, wrong direction, and New Zealanders will make that decision. I'm just very focused on what I've got to do, which is get us out of the hole that we've been in.
Right.
And get it
so I read 4 things over the weekend. Bruce Cotterill, did you read him in the Herald yesterday?
I didn't read his article, but he's very good.
Yes, worth reading. Liam Napier, did you read his piece?
Liam Dan or Liam Napier?
Liam Dan, my apologies.
Yes, I did read Liam Dan.
Okay. Yep. Damien Grant, you read his piece yesterday?
Sometimes I do, but I didn't yesterday.
Roger Partridge this morning, you read his piece?
I read a little bit of Roger Partridge.
Okay, but you haven't read that. So I've read all of them. They all say the same thing. In fact, Damien Grant summed it up best. He was talking about Kiwibank, and you wanted to do what you did last week with Kiwibank. This is Jim Anderton's economic agenda being advanced by a notionally conservative government. Is that part of your problem?
No, look, I mean, on the banking side, putting $500 million or Kiwibank being able to raise $500 million to grow and to be able to get $4 billion of lending out to businesses and $10 billion more out to retail customers, that's a good thing. It puts more competition into the banking sector.
His point was that ACT wanted to sell it and Jenny Shipley wanted to sell it. So the National Party once wanted to sell it. Now you want to advance it and grow it.
Well, you can look at something 25 years ago, but we are where we are right now. We've got a Commerce Commission saying we haven't got enough innovation, we haven't got enough competition in the banking sector. We've got things like the open banking piece. Yes, we want to put $500 million, a capital raise is going to be, there's people out there that want to invest in Kiwibank to make sure it's got cash so it can actually be more competitive.
Right.
I don't think that's a bad thing.
So from Roger Partridge, when populism drives policy, everyone pays. He was going back to the Butter meeting and Nicola Willis and all that sort of stuff. Essentially what these guys are all saying is that you guys aren't up for much. Basically, you're fiddlers. and the country's burning, and it's still burning, and the whole 2025 here we go rock and roll isn't happening, and that's why you are where you are in the polls, and that's why you got the problems you got.
I disagree. You were going through the biggest recession since the early 1990s. We've had to take medicine as we actually fix spending, inflation, interest rates, growth, and unemployment. They're the 5 things that happen when you lose shape on economic management, which is what the last lot did. We're now, when you think about it, we're doing some pretty big things. We're reforming RMA. No government's done that. Lots have talked about doing it. Well, it's going to be a fantastic legacy of massive enablement to getting things done and built in this country. Hard work, difficult work, lots of detail, but we're moving at pace through that. I think when you look at the announcement we'll make around NCEA, they're big decisions. They're important decisions that actually set New Zealand up in a very different way going forward.
Okay.
So I think we've got the right long-term economic plan. We've got people still feeling the effects of cost of living, but that is a function of, as we worked our way through and had to take our medicine after a massive party, going through a hangover. But you've got to keep the faith and just sort of keep the eye on the prize and work your way through it.
This Wednesday, unemployment, they say 5.3 from 5.1. If it's 5.3, is that it? Has it peaked?
Well, every forecast has said that this is the time that it would be peaking, right? And it's the last bit. Just so...
No, it's the last, but that's the reason for my question. Is this Wednesday as bad as it will be, do you think?
Well, that's what our belief is on the forecast, and we're pretty much following the forecast. That we're peaking about now on unemployment. We've got forecast growth of 2.7% average per year out of the last budget. We've got 240,000 jobs coming in the next 4 years. So, we want to see it tapering down from here on through. So it's not surprising it's peaking now.
Good stuff.
But if you've been a business hanging with inflation and suppressed demand, the last thing you're left with is laying off workers, and that's what you've seen in the last 12 months.
All right. Appreciate your time. See you next week.
Good to see you.
Chris Luxon, 12 to 8.